Coming up today on the Locked On Hornets podcast. Oh, it was beautiful. The Hornets, they beat the Bucks in large part because of their center play, a position that was supposed to be a weakness, and it might be for the rest of the year. It might be in a lot of games. It wasn't last night. Centers were a big reason as to why the Hornets got the win. It's time to praise Collin Sexton, all the new additions, the rookies, the positive vibes. They're back, and we're here to talk about it all today. Locked On Hornets.
You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
In a minute, cuz we live.
It's Locked On Hornets, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. It's your team every day. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free. We're available anywhere you get your pods, and that includes YouTube. Big shout out to Doug Branson, helping me out, going solo yesterday. Go check him out on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, go check out Yahoo Sports Daily. He's working hard, folks, behind the scenes. Jason Fitz, Caroline Fitton, everybody doing a great job over there. So go check out Yahoo Sports Daily. And I'm Walker Mehl. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. We appreciate them as always. Right now, new customers can bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Head to FanDuel.com today to get started. Oh boy, we got a lot to talk about, man. First off, wanted to thank everybody for the overwhelming amount of support. I don't want to spend a lot of time on it in the first segment because I'm going to reward reward. My God, how self-indulging. I'm going to talk about that later on in the pod. Here's what I'll reward people that are listening to the pod with right now. The actual game stuff. Like, I'm going to talk about the victory, but there was an overwhelming amount of support that I really do want to discuss. So I'll get to that in the third segment or even in the last half of the third segment, if that's something that interests you. But we got to start off with the win because that's the most important thing. Hornets got it done. They're 4-7 now on the season. And if you look at that if you're watching YouTube, got that little middle bullet point right there with the little B emoji and everything. Positive vibes are back. The last time I did a solo episode, that little middle bullet point, I don't know what kind of emoji there was, but it wasn't positive vibes. I said now that the vibes are kind of negative. And it really all revolved around LaMelo Ball being injured again, missing, I think at the time, a fourth straight game with the same old injury, the ankle injury. This time we just have a new word on it. It's the same one as the end of last year, ankle impingement. It held him out yesterday. Okay. Negative vibes for sure. Don't want our best player to be out again. But if you look nationally, we're starting to get a lot of praise around here. Jeff Peterson, Charles Lee, the rookies, the players that are suiting up, they're starting to get a lot of praise. And I'm here to praise the centers and everything that they did. And I talked about it on the broadcast last night. I thought they were excellent. We can start with Ryan Kalkbrenner, who, if you'll remember this offseason, when Doug and I were going back and forth on what we could expect from that center spot, we were trying to figure out ways that Ryan Kalkbrenner would get majority of the minutes at 5 this season. I don't know if you guys remember this episode, but we were going like, okay, here's where we're like pitching ideas to one another on how it is that Kalkbrenner just outright starts or plays the most minutes, even if you have Musa basically play the same minutes that he is right now, and Kalkbrenner, gets more than that, right? And Musa just so happens to start, but playing the same amount of minutes that he is right now. We were going back and forth on how that might look. Even if we didn't believe it was going to happen, it's like, all right, well, we know they want to get up and down. We know they want to play real fast, get out in transition. One way to do that is be more aggressive in the passing lanes. Have Ryan Kalkbrenner anchor your defense so you can be a little riskier in those passing lanes. Long arms, LaMelo, Brandon. Remember, this is at the time. Those guys were supposed to be healthy. Out in the passing lanes, especially with LaMelo being a one-man fast break, let's just get those guys on ball and be aggressive at the top. And if they get beat, we have Kalkbrenner, who is a 4-time conference defensive player of the year, back home to swat anything that might go off of the glass. Okay, cool. That's one way. The other is, Well, maybe he's just so offensively gifted that he's the only real lob threat or dunker spot threat for penetration, lob it to Kalkbrenner like you would with Mark Williams, who was very, very good. And Kalkbrenner, not athletic, not as athletic as Mark Williams, but still, Musa's not necessarily that coming from the dunker spot just because he's not as tall. And then he starts because he played pretty well in the second half of what we saw in the preseason, and he looked so much more improved than what he was doing in Summer League. And now he's just awesome. Like, can we just go ahead and call him an awesome player to this point? Like, look, for the naysayers that are trying to bring me down on Ryan Kalkbrenner or whatever, right? Like, I'm speaking within the context of what Kalkbrenner was supposed to be, what he is right now, what he can be, what he's going to be the rest of the season. But we're seeing some pretty advanced stuff compared to what I think the expectations were. And even for the Kalkbrenner fans, you guys heard us all offseason long. That was the guy we wanted at 29. It was Liam McNeely who was drafted, but we wanted him to be the pick if he was going to last to the early part of the second round. Then you get the 29th pick with that trade sending Mark Williams to Phoenix. Then we wanted him. Even us, who wanted him pretty badly, didn't expect him to get this amount of run. And I thought he played his best game of the season last night. Fresh off of having a kid, I know that has been talked about to death. It's still a really cool storyline, but I'll focus on the basketball here. Even so, to compartmentalize that and just control the euphoria that you're experiencing and possibly being delirious because you haven't gotten a lot of sleep. And he talked about that. To go 8 for 8 to tie his career/season high with 17 points. But really defensively, I thought he altered a lot of shots. And if you go to Cleaning the Glass, the stats website that neglects garbage time, you look at what Milwaukee shot at the rim, it was only 47.4%. That's actually a number boosted by what they were able to do. And kind of like faux garbage time. Garbage time here by Cleaning the Glass is defined by a 20-point margin, essentially, in end of game situations and meaningful parts of the game. Even so, like, they were almost on a record for this season in the by any NBA team to allow the worst shooting percentage at the rim. Like, you only allowed 47.4%. A lot of that was because of Kalkbrenner altering Cole Anthony when he got into the paint. You saw Miles Turner, I thought, was bothered. Kyle Kuzma, I thought, was bothered. Even if Kalkbrenner wasn't getting the block, man, that just slight off kilter instead of going up strong. All right, well, here's the big guy. All right, let me lean back a little bit, and it's a tougher shot. That's how you allow only 47.4% at the rim, and it's how you allow only 101.2 points per possession, and it's one of the worst marks in the league this season. Like, Milwaukee just bad offensively in this game. And you also see the types of shots that they are allowing. It's a lot in the mid-range, which if you were just doing it based off of shot quality, how to evaluate the Hornets, what they were doing offensively and defensively, you can see they're taking the right kind of shots, analytically speaking. I think with what their personnel is, and that changes. I don't want to get into the nuance of that. Yeah, KD, you get to shoot anywhere you want. Damn analytics. You're KD, get to shoot wherever you want. But shot quality-esque, Hornets are taking the right kind of shots. Not so much defensively. And you heard Zach Lowe talk about this on his latest pod. Like, yeah, they were allowing, they still, even after this game, they're still allowing a decent amount of shots at the cup. But in this game, they were only allowing a ton of mid-rangers. Like, they didn't shoot very many corner threes at all. That's one of the worst marks posted in the NBA all season. They only shot 30% of their field goal attempts from distance. That's in the 11th percentile of that mark this season. Just like, there's a lot of numbers that make me feel good, but even just the good old-fashioned eye test, that's what makes me feel good about what I watched last night. And then I got to touch on Musa before we go to the second segment. So Musa Diabate going for a season high, offensive rebounds, collecting 8 of those, 13 total off of the glass. I just go back and watch that game again. Kind of wild that he's able to grab as many offensive rebounds as he does. Just relentless. And you see Dell, you can hear him just kind of beside himself in disbelief at how Musa continues to grab these offensive boards. It's one of those things where, yeah, sometimes the basketball will bounce real close to him and then he'll collect it that way. And you might say, oh, okay, well, a couple of those are just luck offensive rebounds. Except, why does he keep winning every 50-50 ball that goes to him? Luck only accounts so much for that. And then he steals a couple of them. You think you have it. Nope. Musa beats you to the spot, even if you had to run, twice the distance. That just creates plenty more opportunities. You get threes off of it. That's a winning player. And the last thing I'll say about Musa before we move on. So you heard a lot of the praise last night. I know Doug talked about it a decent amount in the last episode of Locked On Hornets, but we're at that point in the season now. And we're getting there, right? We're going to get into a rhythm where you'll see this more and more. But Giannis, for instance, he's got the knee injury. You don't want to play him too much. This was the right time to rest him. You're going to see load management. The NBA season is a grind. You know what's not fun? Playing against that guy 82 times. You know what's not fun? Playing against that guy within the 40th game of the season when you kind of just want to chill against the Hornets. Musa's not chilling. Collin Sexton isn't chilling. Musa is like running into a brick wall, and Eric has mentioned it. I've mentioned it. That guy has the lowest amount of body fat ever measured in NBA Combine history. So it's a brick wall hitting you repeatedly in the post, picking you up on the perimeter and hitting you. I'm good on that. I don't want to do that, man. That doesn't sound fun. Goodness gracious. And I think you could see Milwaukee deal with that, and have to deal with the ramifications of that. I think you're going to see that a lot from a bunch of other teams as this team goes on. And what you see from these centers in different flavors, rim deter, rim protector. Musa has actually done a pretty decent job at protecting the rim, man. Like, that's the thing. You look at this Hornets center rotation and you say, oh, that's a rookie who isn't very mobile. And then the mobile guy, I'm just going to shoot over. Yeah, let's live in the paint. This is going to be cake. It's not been cake. They're a little misleading with what you see from them, man. Like, you see what they've done so far is they've been in the orange quite a bit in terms of allowing low shooting percentages at the rim. The only team that really beat them up in the paint, it was Miami earlier this year. It was the Lakers game, and you could see that. I even tweeted it out. And it was Orlando, which, they kill us because they're monsters all over the place. Every other game, they've been average to really good. It's only been 3 times that the Hornets have been beat up in the paint. It's so funny that this was supposed to be a massive weakness. It might be long-term just because teams might figure out how to attack Kalkbrenner and Musa Diabate, but it doesn't feel like a big one anymore. It feels like we can get by and pleasantly surprise some teams that think they're just going to dominate and bully us down low. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast. Want to give some love to Collin Sexton. Want to talk a little bit more about the rookies because the Hornets are receiving national praise now. It's not one of those, hey, why aren't people talking about Con Knippel? Look, we can be excited about Con. I don't think we can say that anymore. People are talking about Con Knippel as they should. We'll talk about Con and the rookies coming up next. LOH. This episode is brought to you by Wayfair. Hold on, let me bring up their graphic, man. Like, if we're going to talk about Wayfair, I want to do it right, and I want to bring up the graphic for everybody that is watching us on YouTube. There we go. Shout out to Wayfair. The holiday season is right around the corner, and that means it's time to get your home ready. Whether you need more seating for guests, cozy new linens, or fun serveware for holiday hosting, Wayfair's Black Friday sale is here to help you make your space shine. And the best part, you don't have to wait. Wayfair's Black Friday deals are happening all month long with up to 70% off everything from sofas to spatulas. In case you need both, sofas and spatulas, babies, Wayfair, they got you covered. If you've ever hosted family for the holidays, you know how much difference a few new touches can make. Wayfair makes that easy. Don't miss out on early Black Friday deals. Head to wayfair.com now to shop Wayfair's Black Friday sale for up to 70% off. That's WAYFAIR, wayfair.com. Wayfair.com. Sale ends December 7th. More Locked On Hornets coming up in just a moment. Positive vibes are back. Rookies, everybody talking about them. Shout out to Nekias Duncan, one of the best basketball minds on social media and hosting podcast out there, doing a bunch of different stuff. Just obsessed with Sion James, like the sickos that we are. He's a Sion sicko. I think we all are Sion sickos. It's easy to give praise to Kalkbrenner and Con Knipple. Sion deserves a lot of praise too for what he's done. But I guess we probably should focus on the top 5 pick. You go to NBA.com's rookie ladder, a little fun storyline to follow throughout the season, especially if you have 3 rookies that are contributing really well. Then you see that Con Knipple is the number 1 rated rookie so far this season. Real good argument that if the season ended after 11 games, we probably wouldn't be as successful as a pod if we were only doing 11 games. But if it ended today, maybe he just would win Rookie of the Year. He's got that kind of argument with the way that he's been playing. And then you go to ESPN.com's rankings. He's 3rd, and it's kind of funny to see that people think ESPN is duping him. Like, he's a top 3 rated rookie by ESPN, and there are people that are mad at that ranking. I whether they're right or wrong, I don't think they are. Like, I'm just going to sit back and be excited about people being mad and having a case about Con being only number 3 on ESPN.com. And then you see Ryan Kalkbrenner, he's top 5. Sion James is showing up in the top 10 list. I think that has been the biggest cushion to the fall with the LaMelo Ball disappointment. I mean, that is a nice, cozy bed that you're landing on if you decided to jump off of the ledge. Like, we're here to save you, man. It does represent, I don't want to get too I don't want to exaggerate too much, but like, yeah, there is hope with what these guys have been doing. I just hopped on Locked On Bucks and did a hit with Camille Davis, and she was saying, hey, is this performance typical with what you saw on Wednesday? And I kind of laughed and I said, well, it's not typical with what we've seen over the last few years, but it is kind of typical with what we've seen so far this season. The W is not typical, right? We only have 4 wins. Let's not get it too twisted, but the effort in which they play, the rebounding, the Hornets have not lost a rebounding battle all year long. It's wild, man. They're one of the best defensive rebounding teams in the league. And I don't mean like top 10. I mean top 3. You can pull those numbers up, but actually, not being bullied down low, that's not typical if you go back a couple of years ago, right? What's typical and what isn't. Yeah, it changes a ton from this year to the past 5 or so. And this is without LaMelo. And look, as much as we can get excited about beating that Bucks team last night, yeah, they didn't have Giannis. Do they win if Giannis plays? I don't know. Maiden shot a lot of threes. Giannis changes everything because that's a historically great basketball player, top 20 all-time basketball player. Argue with somebody else doing that podcast. I don't know. That guy changes a lot. And it changes a lot on that offense. I mean, so much of their offense is predicated on Giannis driving to the paint, kicking out to a bunch of good shooters, and you don't really have a ton of self-creators. Ryan Rollins, I thought, did a great job last night. He's been so good all season long, taking guys off of the dribble. I kind of was in for a pleasant surprise with what he was able to do off of the deck. But even so, man, that's how you generate offense with Milwaukee. Drive, kick, or drive, get fouled, and Giannis just scores 35 on you. And maybe he would have done that. Maybe he would have gone for 40. But even so, we can be excited about this win with some of the typical stuff that we've been seeing this year from the new additions, whether it's a rookie or whether it's Collin Sexton or even Pat Connaughton. Last night, how about 11 minutes and he'll give you 11 points, a point per minute. Pretty solid. I'll take it. Thank you very much, Pat Connaughton, for showing up against your former team. Yeah, Miles Bridges, I had a couple turnovers, wasn't hitting from deep, rose his hands to the heavens after hitting his second three-pointer, eventually finishing 2 of 10. Like, even without them playing a perfect game where the turnovers showed up in the second quarter, they kind of showed up, a little bit earlier, I guess, in the third, like really early in the third. It did feel like they settled down and then got back to taking the right kinds of shots and just being relentless on the glass, with Musa saving quite a few possessions. And with Con Knipple finding his space in the corner, drilling a couple of threes. What's interesting is it didn't, like, Con Knipple did not have his best game of the year. Like, nobody would describe last night's outing as Con's best game of the season, and he ended up with 16 points. He ended up 3 of 8 from the three-point line, and he was 3 of 4 from the foul line. 6 rebounds, did have the 3 turnovers, need to cut down on that. And Con looked good. And that was not, I think, one of the 2 best performances, maybe? Like a top 3, top 4, would you put it there? Yeah, and still ended up with 16 points and, one of the 6 Hornets that ended up in double digits. Positive vibes, they're back. And LaMelo's injury is always going to be something that is relatively dark surrounding us as long as he continues to miss games. But when he comes back, now we can allow ourselves to feel something even a little more different than we did before, because he hasn't had this kind of talent around him. So when he comes back, now it's like, well, who can we beat? Who can we compete with? I don't want to get too carried away, right? We got 1 victory. I understand. But even still, I would just come back, Brandon, come back, LaMelo. Let's see how far we can take this thing. Coming up next on the Locked On Hornets podcast. Give you some finishing observations in the third segment, and then a heartfelt thank you to everybody that supported me on the FanDuel broadcast last night. That's still to come. Last segment, LOH. This episode is brought to you by Built, B-I-L-T. Nobody likes paying rent, but if you must, you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built is changing the game by turning your rent payment into real rewards you can actually use. And when you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels and airlines, a future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and even more than that. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Built has made everyday life feel more rewarding, from your neighborhood to your travel plans. So turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to Join Built, B-I-L-T, joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. That's JOIN. BILT, joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNBA. Make sure to use that link so they know we sent you. This episode is always also brought to you by FanDuel, and we always appreciate their support. The NBA is back. It's in full force. There's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or you want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets, too, on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks, all sorts of stuff. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. More Locked On Hornets ahead. Just some finishing thoughts. I mentioned it to Collin in that interview last night. 16 points for him. Not a good shooting day. 3 turnovers. Even still, I thought Collin was really good. So early in the game, I thought he got things started with pace just as soon as he grabs the basketball. I'm not sure if he even really starts with the basketball in his hands. Not sure how he does it. He might be a warlock. Decides to get going downhill before the basketball reaches his hands on the pass. And it's not like the wide receiver that hears footsteps and decides to turn his head away from the football and therefore he drops it. It's not like Collin Sexton is dropping the basketball. Maybe he did. I think there's actually one time where I think he was probably a little too fast, but it was because of him running into some people in the paint. He doesn't really drop it like that. He runs without the basketball in his hands, and then it's just a magnet, goes straight to the palms, and he somehow either scores a layup that he's able to find the slightest little amount of space to get the basketball off the glass, or he gets fouled. And he went to the foul line a few times last night. Was 5 of 6 from the charity stripe. Yeah, not an efficient night from him. But the other thing that he did was just his energy. It creates stuff for other people on the floor. Talk about stealing offensive rebounds. There was twice that I counted, maybe 3, where somebody felt like they were going to grab the basketball, and then he just pokes out the orange, baby. Nope, you don't get it. We're either going to slow you down so we can get back on defense, or we're just going to outright take it from you. Collin did that. Let me see the offensive rebounds that he collected. So he got 0, but I felt like he poked the basketball out a couple times to these were defensive rebounds too. So he's like even saving you from allowing the other team to crash the offensive glass. And I thought his skip passes, especially in the first quarter, to find guys in the corner, I thought that was some real improvement. And Collin seems to be a very self-aware player. In the game last night, I asked him, your role as being a primary on-ball handler, what facilitating to everybody else, how comfortable are you with it? And he said it's not something that he's really done all that much, but Charles Lee trusts him to do it. And he feels like he's getting better every single day. Like, I don't think that's a canned answer. One, he's letting you know that's not something that he's experienced all that much in the past. And he is letting you know it's taken some time, but I think I'm figuring it out. And I think he is too. Just the cross court passes, the skip passes, making things happen by just beating everybody down the floor. The Collin Sexton paint touches. I threw away some of my notes that I was taking. But the Collin Sexton paint touches just created all sorts of open looks for people. I just thought he was excellent. Even if you couldn't tell it in the box score, you might look at that and say, all right, 16 points isn't bad. 8 missed shots, 1 of 5 from 3. Nah, man, I'm good on that. 3 turnovers. No, thank you. Okay. You didn't watch. Right? Collin was just really impactful in a lot of different areas. And Tre Mann, I thought after struggling early, got going with a couple of shots as the game went on too. So it's still an uneven, I think, season performance from what you've had with Tre Mann. But overall, I thought as the game went on, I really liked what I saw from him. Okay, if you made it for the second half of the third segment, here's what I want to say, man. So I got to do the broadcast last night. I got to do pregame, halftime, and postgame with sideline reporting extraordinaire Shannon Spake, Eric Collins, Del Curry. You know them well. They've been here for a while. And I filled in for Terrence Oglesby, who's doing a bunch of college basketball and has been doing it really like the second half of last year. And he's so good at that. Like, he's been amazing, Field of 68, doing some ESPN broadcast. Like, he does an excellent job. Like, really one of the best college basketball minds in the game. So ESPN wants him, and I filled in for Terrence last night on the broadcast. And look, as I understand it, I'll be filling in a few more times. I don't know how many times. I don't have any more dates, so not exactly sure on the information. But that's what it looks like right now. And couple things here. As far as your support, I'll be honest with you guys. Like, buddy, that was an overwhelming amount of support. And, a huge thanks to Hornets Reddit, which that account is just so well run for news. And it's almost like the Hornets watering hole. Everybody goes to the watering hole and everybody's there to take in the information. We kind of need it for Hornets life. And all it is good information. It's not always the best of news, but that's not Hornets Reddit's fault. It's just the best information. You get either a bite-sized snippet of what news is happening, all the articles, they do such a great job of uplifting local Hornets podcasts like Locked On Hornets, like Buzzbeat, like so many other stuff out there. Anyways, Hornets Reddit giving me some love, saying, oh, hi to you, saying that I'm filling in for Terrence. And then that allowed everybody to retweet it and stuff like that. I see it. Hornets Reddit. You guys are the best. And with everybody retweeting it, liking it, commenting, I just got sent an hour ago a Hornets Reddit post on me filling in. And I keep going back to this word, Hornets fans being overwhelmingly supportive of me being on there. So I don't want this to be crazy self-indulging. This isn't the most comfortable, but I do feel like you guys, here's something I came across. this is why I love radio, and this is why I love podcasts. It's because we've built a relationship with our listeners that is so tight and so close that it's almost like you feel like some form of you is on that television screen. And the reason I say that, I did not realize how many people were going to tweet or text or DM. I didn't realize how many people would have some familial relationship with me, even if there is no blood relation. I don't know how many people said, it feels like I'm big bro watching little bro. It feels like my brother is up there somehow having made it. And then you guys seem to have pride with it. Like, I expected some support. I didn't expect that much. I didn't expect it to be in that volume. I also didn't expect that strong of a familial support. But so many people said it's like watching my little brother having made it. It's like, okay, I didn't realize that. It does give a little bit more truth to the way that I have felt growing up on air in this city, because I've gone to that very phrase. I grew up on air. I grew up on 730. I'm growing up. I've grown up on WFNZ. And even if with me, turning 33, right? I always say I feel old, and then people, curse me out for saying that I feel old at 33. But man, you got to remember, like, so many people have looked at me kind of like one of the younger voices, and then they see it, and they do think, oh man, good for him. Like, he's a little brother. And that's kind of funny. I didn't realize that was happening. And I appreciate that. Like, I welcome that. I'll be your little bro. I welcome that. Yeah, and I know that's not the only age group, right? I know that we, have all sorts of different demographics, but I thought that was a really cool thing to see. And I just can't thank you enough. Like, I can't do this. I can't get on that broadcast without everybody's support on Locked On Hornets. I can't do that without everybody's support on Wes and Walker on WFNZ. So yeah, like, I thought about writing a little something about it. I decided not to. And I just can't tell you how much I appreciate everything. And, I'll give you some stories on the broadcast as well, because I think people, they want to hear Eric Collins behind the scenes, and there's no secrets about him. Just people want to hear what it's like. And I want to give that to the people. And once more, just the biggest of shout outs to Shannon, who, like, let me tell you guys about Shannon, who makes your job so easy. And maybe you guys could figure this out by watching the broadcast. But the first half of the first segment, we're doing it on the court now, as you see, like, and the FanDuel broadcast usually was at the desk up, close to the Hornets fan shop, and they're just not doing that anymore. They're on the court now, which I think looks pretty cool. But when you're doing it on the court, the difference in the two times that I've done it now is when the cameras come on and the lights from the camera hit you, it slaps me in the face as soon as we're on air. And I'm like, oh, okay, all right, it's time. It's here. And so you can see me, the radio guy, little bit uncomfortable with it. Like, everything's cool. It's just jarring. And then Shannon just talking with me, like putting the ball on the tee, a real relaxed conversation type flow. The producers behind the scenes. I mean, I've got plenty of thanks to give to people to give them shout outs, because I mean, that whole FanDuel broadcast, like, it's just such a tight-knit group that just wants the best for everybody to create something awesome. But Shannon makes life so easy. It's crazy how good she is at setting you up and just being in control. Everything's comfortable, man. We're good. We're hanging out. Have fun. Like, hey, this, if you don't have fun, the listener isn't it. The viewer isn't. So anyways, just a monster shout out to Shannon, who is fantastic at what she does and makes other people better at what they do. And so I appreciate the support. All right, enough of that. I will talk a little bit more about some of that stuff as these pods go on. That'll do it for Locked On Hornets. Thanks for making us your first listen. We're free and available anywhere you get your pods, and that includes YouTube. Go check Doug out on his Substack, everyhornetsboxscore.com. Also, go check out Yahoo Sports Daily with Jason Fitz and Caroline Fenton. And I'm Walker Mehl. Listen to me, WFNZ, every weekday from 12 to 3 p.m. Sports Radio 92.7 FM. Have a great rest of your day. We'll be back with you tomorrow.